What a year 2020 was. Unprecedented in a lot of ways, people turned towards video games as a way to escape reality and connect with others. And they had a lot of great options to pick from. 2020 has brought an outstanding variety of games to life. After a lot of discussion, we decided on the 10 best of the year. Here they are. Number 10, Astros Playroom. The greatest pack-in tech demo in the history of tech demos, Astros Playroom is an absolute joy to play. It handles precisely, and it has that magic that amazing games just sometimes have. It feels right to play. Sharp controls and fun mechanics in gorgeous 4K 60 environments. It's the kind of game that non-gamers can't put down, and plenty of that is thanks to Astro's charm. Make no mistake, Astro's Playroom is just as whimsical and joyful as any Nintendo property. He's the hero and mascot PlayStation really needs, and we're salivating at the idea of a full-length Astrobot adventure. It's also the game that firmly plants the DualSense at the top of the most likely to change the industry list. The combination of the haptic feedback and the speaker on the DualSense propels Astro's Playroom into jaw-dropper territory, doing things that literally can't be done on any other platform. Still, it's a scant few hours long, and as good as those hours are, that brevity means Astro's Playroom is only our 10th best game of 2020. Number 9, Animal Crossing: New Horizons. Animal Crossing could not have released at a more perfect time. As people worldwide were being locked down, the hero we needed, and the world's most eligible bachelor, was there to save us. He promised an island paradise full of discovery, adventure, and friendship, and the gaming world responded with a collective hell yeah! Catching bugs and chopping down trees were perfect diversions, and even while Nook Industries handed us ever-escalating invoices, we gobbled it up. For many, it was a hot and heavy relationship that flamed out after a month or two. In other cases, folks that fell off the video game bandwagon years prior rediscovered a hobby they didn't know they'd missed. Sure, there's a lot of repetitive content and mechanics from prior games, but New Horizons is as addictive as Animal Crossing has ever been. Number 8, Doom Eternal. Following up on the Doom reboot could have been as easy as more of that. Well, why not? After all, Doom was our game of the year in 2016. Instead, id Software took the first game as more of an experiment and blessed us with Doom Eternal. It replaced the tight corridor shooting with massive open arenas and gameplay that requires mastery of multiple mechanics. Chaining double jumps, dashes, blood punches, and chainsaw attacks feels incredible, and it all happens at a barely comprehensible speed. The fantastic art design and outstanding performance on all platforms remains, but balances every movement on the edge of a BFG. Doom Guy is in a constant dance, narrowly avoiding death while laying waste to everything in sight. It's a white-knuckle thrill ride that you're completely in control of, and also first-person Nirvana. Number 7, SpiderMan: Miles Morales. Spider-Man 2018 is a tough act to follow, and Miles Morales managed to do just that. It's the perfect sequel because it doesn't feel like a compromised experience. Instead, we got a completely unique thrill ride that solidifies Miles not only as a great hero, but the star of his own franchise under the broader Spider-Man umbrella. It's a personal story with larger implications, and Insomniac did an outstanding job balancing the two sides of the coin here. We really cared about Miles, and Genki, and Finn, and absolutely loved the focus on what makes each person special. It's a fantastic and heartwarming tale. Mechanically, the best in the business traversal and outstanding Arkham-esque combat remained, but tweaked things to focus more on Miles' unique characteristics. You won't ever mistake Miles for Peter Parker, thanks to comic-perfect animation and design choices, and your eyeballs might actually pop when looking at the PS5 version, thanks to excellent ray tracing implementation. We still find ourselves popping in for a few minutes here and there, just to swing from A to B. It's a phenomenal superhero achievement, and good enough for a strong number 7 finish on this list. Number 6, Kentucky Route Zero. Released episodically, Kentucky Route Zero was an event 7 years in the making. Now that it's complete, we finally felt ready to pass judgment on it. And it's a magnificent accomplishment. The tiny team at Cardboard Computer created one of the most confusing, inspiring, and thought-provoking adventures we've ever seen, where choices do and don't matter, and it really is about the journey. It's a story that everyone can take something away from, and a different something at that. No fetch quests, no items to collect and combine, just excellent characters and situations that challenge players to think critically about what's happening moment to moment. Will you take away an anti-establishment narrative? Or perhaps a sense of mindfulness about your own state of being? It's entirely up to you in Kentucky Route Zero. By our reckoning, the best adventure game in a long time, and the 6th best game of 2020. Number 5, Final Fantasy VII Remake. It actually came out. We're shocked too, but somehow, miraculously, Final Fantasy VII Remake was worth the wait. The nostalgic among us were chewed up and spat out as our childhood fantasies played out in front of us, whilst even newcomers were able to connect with the story, world, and tremendously well-balanced gameplay. Combat is smooth and satisfying, and more rewarding the further you dig into how each character handles. Each character is brilliantly realized and well-designed, with famous scenes playing out in spectacular fashion. Meanwhile, fringe characters from the original also took the spotlight. Jesse and Don Corneo became real people we cared about and hated in equal measure, thanks to a script that deepened our understanding of Midgar in all the right ways. It even managed to surprise us, tying a bow on the experience while also leaving a delicious cliffhanger for the next installment. Speaking of which, how many years do you figure we'll have to wait for Part 2? Number 4, The Last of Us Part 2. Okay, hold on. The game we gave a perfect score this year is slumming it at number 4? Yes. And don't get us wrong, The Last of Us Part 2 is an astonishing game. Absolutely gorgeous, brilliantly constructed, and full of detail that could make an angel weep. Objectively speaking, it's remarkable. The mechanics are polished to a mere sheen, and the world is fantastically designed. It features some of the most realistic character models in history, but it was also really hard to play through, and it was designed that way. Ellie and Abby's journeys clashed in ways that challenged us to step back, consider, and forgive the unforgivable. It was really, really hard to do, and the split in the player base reflects that difficulty. But all things most worth doing are unexpected and sometimes unappreciated. In a different year, one where society was less protective of itself, we suspect The Last of Us Part 2 would have seen a less mixed response. Indeed, it's likely to see greater appreciation over time, as the saltier among us start to mellow out. But in 2020, it was only our 4th favorite. Number 3, Hades. Hades caught a lot of attention and a lot of people by surprise. We're not entirely sure why though. Supergiant Games has an incredible track record. Transistor, Bastion, Pyre, they're all outstanding, and Hades was in early access for ages. People already had a sense it would be good. What we didn't understand is just how good. We're talking best roguelite ever levels. Game of the year? No, not quite, but that doesn't diminish this accomplishment. Hades is the gift that keeps on giving, dripping out mechanics for untold hours, even after completing the main story. The action is fast and ultra-fluid, with more character builds than Zeus has illegitimate children. Seriously, you can do a completely different build with every run. The storytelling is surprisingly strong too, with excellent writing and top-notch voice acting. Oh, it's also insanely stylish. I mean, everything is really, really good in Hades, and you're missing out on an absolute treasure if you haven't given it a shot yet. Number 2, HalfLife Alyx. This is the best VR game ever, the best Half-Life game ever, and almost our game of the year for 2020. HalfLife Alyx does all the things Valve does well, but with the added benefit of utterly nailing the immersion required for an incredible VR experience. The level of detail applied to every single surface, item, character, and situation is staggering, and the experience of playing in VR is equally remarkable. The design of the world allows for meticulous exploration, but in a seamlessly guided way that avoids revealing any cracks in the facade. Creepy exploration and high-octane gunfights are both well done, and the accessibility options mean that even the VR squeamish are likely to find a comfortable setup. Most crucially, Valve's superb storytelling makes the jump to VR really well. Events and situations are happening directly to the player, not just around them as in past VR narratives. It's a monumental VR achievement, but the barrier to entry is what holds it back from winning here. Not enough people have experienced Half-Life Alyx. It's a tragedy that increased access to VR tech will solve, and hopefully soon. Game of the Year, Ghost of Tsushima. This was a no-doubt pick. It garnered a landslide of points in our team voting, And despite being an imperfect experience, there's no game we enjoyed more in 2020 than Ghost of Tsushima. Jin's journey, his struggle to balance his heritage and his future, resonated with a lot of people and fueled our quest to retake Tsushima from the Mongols. And who wouldn't want to save the island? We reckon that this is the most fluid open world yet created. It invisibly funnels you from discovery to discovery using both the wind and visual design cues, and offers jaw-dropping vistas every few seconds. Seriously, we've amassed thousands of photos via the excellent photo mode. It's spectacular across the board. From endless fields of flowers to the sun setting over a mountaintop shrine, the world design actively encourages players to step back and appreciate the quiet moments. It's subtly done, but reinforces Jin's connection to the samurai way. Jin's also an absolute badass, laying waste to legions of Mongols through the exceptionally well-balanced combat. Parries and strikes all carry weight and purpose, coming to a head in the game's many head-to-head duels. Ghost of Tsushima has refined how to build an entirely open world as a guided experience, and it's now the measuring stick competitors will have to adapt to. Ghost of Tsushima is the most fun we had in a year desperate for such things, and we proudly name it COG Connected's Game of the Year for 2020.